GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump on Tuesday promised to deliver what was billed as a major announcement on national security and foreign policy. And all of this done aboard the decommissioned battleship, the USS Iowa, anchored in San Pedro, California, south of L.A. But instead of delivering what was promised by his campaign, he mostly left the media stunned and without any clearer picture of the policy plans that he'll champion as commander-in-chief. So what did he say, and what did he omit? We'll get the read from Peter Kauffmann, former officer in the Navy and a member of the advisory board for the Vet Voice Foundation. Peter joined the military in 2002 after resigning from his post as press secretary to then-Senator Hillary Clinton. All right, what did you make of Donald Trump's address on the military?
Well, like a lot of things,
well
said. I think with a lot of things with Donald Trump leading up to it, there was a lot of hype and bravado. But then when it came to it, there wasn't much substance. I watched the speech very closely and didn't really pick up much policy at all, which is seemingly a theme of his campaign so far.
Why does he do so well saying so little?
Well, it's interesting because I think I understand the focus on Trump and his rhetoric and some of the things he says. I think the most troubling aspects of Trump's popularity right now is the things that he says rhetorically are really grounded in policies that are beliefs shared by each of these Republican candidates. So while Trump may say things that are inflammatory on issues like immigration, his immigration stand, his stand on some of the things he touched on in this speech last night are really shared by each of the leading Republican candidates. And I think that's the most troubling aspect of this.
The organization he spoke for, Veterans for a Strong America, he said it has hundreds of thousands of members. It actually seems to be a one-man operation, isn't it?
Again, this is par for the course, I think, with Mr. Trump. He talks about things being huge and really doesn't necessarily deliver when it comes to the nuts and bolts and the real red meat of policy and substance.
What about his assertion that we have illegal immigrants treated better by far than our veterans?
It's just a horrible aspect of his campaign, playing to xenophobia, playing to really the worst base instincts of some voters, trying to come up with these outlandish, inaccurate statements that we have something to worry about from people who are different. And it's really unfortunate. I served in the United States military. The United States military is an incredibly diverse place. It is an organization made up of men and women from every walk of life. And really it represents the best in America. And to see someone running for the presidency of the United States get on a naval warship and in something billed to be a statement about a national security vision, and then just rely on these awful statements about just based on xenophobia, fear of people who are different, is incredibly troubling. And again, I touched on this briefly. It's even more troubling that the things that he says, talking about immigration, talking about building a wall between the U.S. and Mexico, that's something that each of the Republican candidates for president agrees on. So we might think, Larry, you and me talking about this, that it sounds so outlandish, and it does. The way Trump tends to put things is very outlandish. But when you get to the real sort of nitty-gritty, it's something that each of the leading Republican candidates agrees on.
Peter, I've known Donald a long time, and a lot of people, other than myself who've known him a long time, say that this isn't the real Donald, that Donald is basically a pretty good guy, very giving guy, good friend, loyal, liberal in many instances. What do you make of that? Is this a dichotomy? Are there two Donalds? What is this?
I think there is a thread in today's conservative movement and the rhetoric by Donald Trump, the view of America and the diversity in America by some of the presidential candidates, whether it's Ben Carson talking about the LGBT community, whether it's John Kasich talking about racial profiling, whether it's Jeb Bush walking back his previous stances on immigration, whether it's Scott Walker talking about working Americans. each one of these candidates seems so against and so vitriolic against working Americans, against women, against the LGBT community. And you really have to wonder, why do they even want to be president of a country they seem to have so many issues with?
What do you make of Donald's statement that he felt like he was in the military because he went to military school?
It was offensive. And the people, my friends that I spoke with that have served in the military, I'm glad that he got something out of his little boarding school that he went to. That's not the United States military. It's offensive the way he talks about it. Anyone who would even utter that and not apologize immediately is really just doesn't understand the United States military. I don't think they understand much about public service, and that crossed a line. That was bizarre.
Another bizarre thing is everyone thought that Trump would be severely hurt when he made those statements about John McCain not being a hero, and he went up in the polls. How do you explain that?
I served in the United States Navy. I'm a progressive Democrat. I don't always agree with John McCain politically, but John McCain's a personal hero of mine. There's no rational person who could ever describe John McCain as anything short of an American hero. The courage that he showed, and it wasn't just what he went through. It wasn't just surviving what he did. It wasn't just the strength that he showed, but being an admiral's son who refused early departure. I mean, this is the kind of the values that a lot of us who served, we're lucky that it was theoretical for many of us. John McCain endured.
Why didn't it hurt Trump?
Well, I think, you'll have to ask the Republican establishment that question. Where were the Republican leaders to repudiate him? John McCain is a genuine war hero. Why haven't more people spoken out about this? Why haven't conservative veterans groups gotten out there to talk about this?
One other thing on Trump, he did not mention ISIS, did not mention Syria, the Syrian refugee crisis, NATO, extremist groups, cyber threats. How long can he keep doing this without getting into that?
Well, again, there's not much substance there, and I don't know how much he understands of any of those issues. And, we just marked the 14th anniversary of 9/11 the other day, and I think in those years what the American people have come to realize is that if we didn't know it before September 11th, 2001, the world is a very complex place. There are a lot of challenges out there. We need serious people to talk about serious issues. And what we did over 8 years under President Bush, just squandering the goodwill and the reputation of America internationally. Hillary Clinton's been at the forefront of restoring America's reputation abroad. President Obama has led that effort. Hillary Clinton was really key in that in the first term, really restoring our relationship with allies and our reputation globally. And I think what the American people are going to understand is we need serious people to talk about serious issues. And I think as voters really focus on the election, and as we get closer to next November, they're going to see that Hillary Clinton is the person that fights for the things they believe in, understands the world, understands how to work and work on behalf of America's interests globally. And it's time for a lot of this rhetoric and these candidates with really not much substance they're going to fall away, I think, as the American people really focus on the issues.
One other thing, Peter, is Hillary in trouble?
No, I was proud to have worked for her. I think this is the presidency of the United States we're talking about. No one's handed the presidency, and she knew from the outset it is a long, hard road. You're going to have to work for every vote, and that's what she's doing. And I think as people get to know her, they're going to know she has a lifelong record fighting for working Americans, fighting for women and children, fighting for economic equity, and really fighting to expand access to the American dream, fighting for the best of what America represents.
Peter, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us today. We'll call on you again.
Thank you very much, Larry.
If you want to learn more about Peter and his work with the Vet Voice Foundation, you can find him on Twitter by tweeting @Peter Kauffmann.